Joining us now are MSNBC political analyst, former Republican governor of Ohio, John Kasich, and Republican strategist, Susan Del Percio. Governor, first to you. We need to start in Nebraska. Governor Jim Pillen now supporting a bill that could potentially change the national outcome this fall by having that one district in Omaha, that one congressional district that was sort of a dot of blue in the middle of a red state, that all the electoral votes would be statewide. Unified. Explain the significance, potentially.
Well, it could shift, an electoral vote. But look, Andrea, states have the right to decide what their elections should be and what the rules ought to be. I don't have any problem with that, but we ought not to be making these changes now in the same year in which we're going to have the election. I think this is some of the complaint that Republicans had, what they did in Pennsylvania, because of COVID. I mean, COVID was exceptional, as we all know. But I think states have the right to do what they want to do. I just don't think that when they take action in 24, that it ought to affect the election in 24. Let it affect something further down the road. We've got enough controversy, enough confusion, enough angst that pile this on top of it. So my sense is they want to do it, fine, but it shouldn't apply to 24. I think that's a reasonable approach, whether it's Republicans or whether it's Democrats. Don't change the rules right in the middle of the game.
And the reason why, Susan, this is getting so much attention is that one Nebraska electoral vote, when you add it up, 270 for Joe Biden, if it went the other way, it would be the nightmare scenario to a lot of Democrats, at least, of, 269 to 269 decided by the House, where, of course, the House has more Republicans than Democrats. Susan?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, it is worth noting, though, that they only have 2 weeks left in their legislative session. And it's been reported that it's unlikely that this bill will actually pass this year because of the procedures that they have. So I'm hoping that this is up for discussion, but actually something that is not going to be actionable. But yes, you're absolutely right, Andrea. If this happens, if that one electoral vote is out of play, it means that Joe Biden, in order to win clearly, has to pick up a whole nother state. And that's wherein lies the problem.
And, Governor, I want to ask you about abortion because NBC's Gabe Gutierrez asked Donald Trump about Florida's 6-week abortion ban and about the referendum coming up. And this is what Mr. Trump had to say.
Mr. President, do you support the 6-week abortion ban that the Florida Supreme Court just upheld?
We'll be making a statement next week on abortion. We're going to make a statement next week.
So that's what Gabe was just, Garrett was just talking about, that he says he'll make it next week. But he's having a lot of trouble dealing with this issue of abortion, 6-week ban, 15-week ban. Yeah. He's been all over the place. He's on video kind of, touting the fact that he appointed the Supreme Court justices that overturn Roe v. Wade. And now that that's such a politically charged issue in a lot of elections, Kansas, referenda, across various states,
Ohio.
Yeah. Your own state.
Well,
so,
can
he wriggle out of it, or
discussed,
can he claim he had nothing to do with overturning Roe v. Wade?
Maybe it'll be mañana come next week. I don't know. But one thing is clear is that the vast majority of Americans don't want extremes on either end. They don't want extremes in the beginning. They don't want extremes in the end. They're looking for something that's more in the middle. And I guarantee you that's what they're trying to figure out. How do we keep the pro-lifers on? But at the same time, how do we show that we're going to have a moderate position? I think probably the 6-week ban is going to drive a lot of people to the polls in Florida. It'll be interesting to see whether that tips anything in Florida. The Democrats are beginning to say that puts Florida in play. I mean, it's a powerful issue, but I think at the end of the day, Andrea, we talk about this, and it is very important in terms of driving turnout. But as you see in the latest polls around these battleground states, the issue that is beginning to emerge more and more is the economy. And that is going to be, in my opinion, that'll be the issue that matters the most at the end of the day. I'm not saying the other one doesn't matter. It's strong. It's going to get people, but it's the economy. And the issue is, are the Biden people. They keep saying everything is fine. However you feel wrong. That never works in politics. In my opinion, as I've said before, they need to take the Clinton approach about I feel your pain. Yeah, we have inflation. It's still there. It's still tough. But look at the market. Look at the levels of unemployment. But they've got to connect with the voter from the standpoint that the voter is not feeling so great when they go to the restaurant or when they go to the grocery store. That's got to be acknowledged before, I think, sometime around June or September are the two pivotal months that lock in how voters feel about the economy, which is always the most important issue.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.